The Washington Commanders are looking to bounce back against another division rival in the Dallas Cowboys as they host them in Week 12. My name is Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we're going to break down this Week 12 matchup between the Cowboys and Commanders. But before I get into that, Ryan and I, we cannot believe that we're saying that this is possible, but we're trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Thank you to all of the new members that have made this potential goal even possible. So if you haven't already, help us out by hitting that subscribe button and leave a like and a comment. Let us know who you think will win this game and why. So, Ryan, we last saw the Commanders. They had a tough Thursday Night Football outing against the second best in the NFC as of the recording of this video, the Philadelphia Eagles. Tough matchup overall against a solid defense and also just actually it's a great defense and then a really good offense in Philadelphia. They get a much more favorable matchup now against Dallas Cowboys, who are coming off a rough Monday Night Football game and rough season, a rough 2024, I would say, even going back to their playoff game earlier this year. So, Ryan, I want to throw it over to you here because we're recording this after the Cowboys game, but you were even talking about even all the injuries that they even faced, that they suffered in that single game. Could you go over those again?
Yeah. So, well, for starters, Tyler Smith, Zach Martin, and Tyler Guyton all left the game and did not return with injuries. So they are all listed as questionable right now for this game. Monday night game, short week. Not saying it's impossible and like not trying to be like all doom and gloom for the Cowboys right now, but that's just one less day that these guys have to get healthy for this Sunday at 1 matchup. And so just not a good start, especially when you look Cooper Rush or Trey Lance is going to be back there. And it's just going to be I think a rough rest of the season. Also, Jake Ferguson left the game with a concussion. And so that's going to be 1, damaging for my fantasy team, and 2, bad for the Cowboys on Sunday as well. So it's just like you said, it's been a really rough 2024 for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott. And also, okay, did you see the analysis they did on the broadcast of Dak Prescott's injury and what he did? That looks so painful. He didn't just like tear his hamstring. He tore the part of his hamstring that connects to his glute in the in his lower butt, like upper thigh, and like just completely ripped it by just throwing a football.
Well, and then this thing goes to show you like where my mind goes is like I was saying like someone went to medical school to be a butt surgeon. Like that was like that's like what I was like they went very in depth into the graphics, which was like very informative because like I heard they ripped off the bone and like that sounds extremely painful.
Yeah, but that's like that to me. That's crazy that he did that just from throwing a ball in that Falcons game. Actually,
well, it was the play. I because they mentioned that before. It was the play before. So he said he felt something, but then on that throw, he felt it even more. And so I kind of want to go back to see what happened on that play. Like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but maybe the Falcons sacked him, and it was a weird, maybe fall that kind of tore the muscle. But he'll be good by training camp, and I think between the recording of this video and then when Dak Prescott comes back for training camp, a lot of decisions need to be made because everything that they didn't do in the offseason is now coming to
fruition.
Fruition, I would say. They're sticking its head out, I would say, because even with Dak Prescott going down, you would think that they would be at least somewhat more confident in the running game as well. But they're not. They're one of the worst running teams in the league. That's really kind of been relying on CeeDee Lamb. Now, I'll throw an olive branch out. Even Jake Ferguson went out with a concussion as well. And so Brandon Cooks hasn't been playing nearly that much. And so they've been dealing with a lot of other injuries. They've essentially been a second-string team for a majority of the season, to be fair.
Yeah, and so like outside of this game, kind of looking at the road forwards, they're at the Commanders. This is a tough matchup for them. Then they do get the Giants at home, the Bengals at home.
Tommy DeVito led Giants.
They do get they go to Carolina, then they play the Buccaneers, Eagles, and then Commanders again to wrap up the season. So like they have some easier games in there, as easy as the NFL can be, and then they also have some tough division matchups there to kind of close out the season. And so like it's not a gauntlet to close out the season, but it's definitely like they're like staring top 5, top 8 pick right in the face, I think. based on how the season has gone. And so, kind of to switch gears over to the Washington Commanders, a little bit of a come back to earth reality in this just dream rookie season for Jayden Daniels, losing the last couple weeks by in pretty close fashion there by 1 point and then one score to the Steelers and then the Eagles. But look, starting off 7-2, this was one thing that I did kind of say going into that Giants game was I was a little worried that maybe that Cliff Kingsbury cliff or plateau would come back from his Arizona Cardinals days. Like, do teams kind of figure out what they're trying to do on offense and figure out ways to shut it down? I don't think we have a large enough sample size yet to say that is what has happened. I think they've just faced a pretty big uptick in competition in the last couple of weeks. But this team I think is still really good. Jayden Daniels, even in that Eagles loss, looked good. He's going to be a threat in this league for a long time to come. Terry McLaurin is still a really good wide receiver. This defense, I think, is kind of picking things up. They were able to hold the Eagles in check for about 3 to 3.5 quarters. And then Saquon Barkley just said, "This was fun, guys. We're going to win now." And he ran for 2 touchdowns there at the end. And I don't really see any threat of that happening in this matchup with Ezekiel Elliott and Rico Dowdle. Like, just not even near the same caliber of running back or running game, especially with those 3 offensive linemen being banged up, as we said.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I think to your point too, their past 2 games were against the 2 teams from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and both of those teams have some of the top defenses in the league.
Yeah.
And if you go look at that performance, both of those 2 games, they had 60 rushing yards against Pittsburgh and 93 against Philadelphia. And the only other time that they've had less than 100 rushing yards was against Baltimore as well. So where they had 52 rushing yards in that game. So it's just they're one of the better teams in the NFL. But then there's clearly like a difference, I think, between them as of right now in their career.
They're a good NFL team. They're not a Super Bowl contending, like late playoff NFL team just yet.
Absolutely. And you know who's not a playoff team is the Dallas Cowboys. And so I think that Washington Commanders are going to go back to their winning ways this week here. I know what you mentioned about Cliff Kingsbury, and I think that's a fair point, something to kind of keep monitoring on. But going up against the Dallas Cowboys defense, I expect them to go back to their ways. They should be able to run the ball effectively against them. We will need to watch just to make sure that all their running backs are healthy. I know Brian Robinson Jr., he did play, but and it's a longer week as well. But when he's in the offense, typically things are significantly better. But I think that's going to help out as well. The Dallas Cowboys defense has just really been struggling just in general. They've been dealing with injuries also too. But I think Washington's going to come back well rested, and I think they're going to take early command of this game as well. And then this Dan Quinn defense is going to do its job, and they're going to shut down Cooper Rush, CeeDee Lamb, and company. Especially too, very curious to see who all plays for the Cowboys this week on that offensive line.
Oh yeah, and I'm going with Washington too. I just think they're the better team in this matchup right now, and I don't really see a lot of ways for the Cowboys to win. I think this would be pretty shocking if they come out ahead. And I just want to talk about that Cliff Kingsbury comment one more time. I wasn't saying that was going to happen to this Washington offense. It's just you go look at his time in Arizona and both of the seasons he was there. That offense fell off a cliff after the midpoint in the season. So in that, I believe it was that Giants video that we did previewing that game about 3 weeks ago. I was like, this is the midway point in the season. I'm really curious to see what Cliff Kingsbury does going forward, and just pointed out that in the past he had hit a cliff at this point. Since then they've played 2 of the better defenses in the NFL. This Cowboys team is not that. And actually, I think you look at the rest of their schedule. So they have the Cowboys, then the Titans, who have the number 2 ranked defense in terms of yards allowed per game in a couple weeks. But then it's the Saints, they have the Eagles again, then the Falcons and Cowboys again. So to me, like, that's 4 not so great defenses in their last 6 games versus 2 good defenses in 2 of their last 6 games. And so I think that's going to be pretty favorable for them, like, to kind of finish out the season strong.
Who's the second?
You have the Titans and then the Eagles again.
Oh, yeah, but they'll beat the Titans, though.
No. I agree they'll beat the Titans, but that is the second-ranked defense in the NFL in terms of yards allowed. So that's a tough matchup.
To me, there's no reason. Week 16 and Week 17 are going to be huge for Washington here. Just where they host Philadelphia, then they host my Atlanta Falcons. Rise up. But one of the things, though, too, about that is so they get the rematch against that Philadelphia defensive line, which I think was the big reason why Washington just really struggled to move the ball in general. And to be fair, Jalen Carter is a freaking beast. And then I say that, and you get Quentin Mitchell in the backfield, which he has single-handedly lost a lot of teams' fantasy games just because he shuts down their star receiver. And so, ironically, though, I'm going to lose, and the other guy had Terry McLaurin this week. So, but that's because I'm bad at fantasy football. I digress. Atlanta, though, I will say, so all the troubles that you're going to have with Jalen Carter and that Philadelphia defensive line, you will have none of that with my Falcons defensive line. And so that's where I think that's going to be a very interesting matchup here. And that's a game I think you can really take advantage of. And frankly, as of right now, like I would probably honestly even pick you guys. So that Philadelphia game is going to be huge because they're a game and a half back from Philadelphia. And Philadelphia has a it's like 50-50 at Los Angeles Rams, at Baltimore, and then host Carolina. That's an easy win. Host Pittsburgh. That's going to be a tough game. At Washington, that'll be a tough game. But the Week 17, Week 18, host Dallas and the Giants. So there's opportunities here, I think, for Washington to catch up, as they have an easier schedule, I would say, than Philadelphia, and they get to play again. So it's going to be fascinating to see kind of this NFC East division race.
Yeah, and I do think they will be primed for a wild card spot if they aren't able to catch up in that division race. But let's go ahead. Let's wrap this one up here. We are both taking the Commanders in this NFC East division matchup with the Dallas Cowboys. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, go ahead and leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead. Will it be the Dallas Cowboys? Will it be the Washington Commanders? Other than that, we'll see you guys next time.